I would like to congratulate my colleagues, Rika Levin and John Codman. The three of us ran unopposed to be reelected to our positions. It's a real honor to serve with all of you. And it was very helpful for us to be able to dedicate so much of our time in this last year not to being candidates in a heated campaign, but instead to serving the people of Ossining. That said, having been involved in a very heated campaign a couple of years ago, I know firsthand that there is value to having a spirited exchange of ideas that really helps public servants to crystallize why they are doing what they're doing and why we want to serve. And it is a great privilege to serve in local government. The lower down you go on the scale of government organizations, the closer you get to the people that you're working for. Most of you know all of us in one capacity or another, and it's a lot easier for us to be responsive to your needs and reflective of your needs, and frankly, our day-to-day lives are most directly impacted by the level of government that is closest to us. When you turn on the taps to get safe, reliable drinking water, the roads you drive on, the parks where you recreate, all of the people who keep us safe, all of that is managed by this team of people that I am so grateful to serve with. I very rarely comment on national political issues, in large part because all of those services that village government provides reflect the values and the needs of this community that have very little to do with international trade agreements or reproductive rights. And though we all run on a party line, I know that we all share the same goals of people who may be very happy with yesterday's presidential election because we are looking out for our local government and the needs of our community. And I will say, today there was a great example of American exceptionalism because we will once again, for more than 200 years, have a peaceful transition of power. And I am, again, grateful every day to be in this country. All right, I've said way too much about that election. I'm going to stop talking about it. We have very interesting, pressing matters here in our local government to discuss. Lori Lee, we're going to go a little out of order. Would you get us started with the request for post-redemption data tax payment?
Yes, I will. As you know, part of my responsibilities as your corporation counsel is to process your tax liens and to get them filed, to preserve your rights to collect them in an in rem proceeding, which is it's a foreclosure action against the liens on the property. We're authorized to accept payment across the counter upstairs in the tax collector and the finance office right up to the date that the redemption period in those tax filings expire. So in the event a taxpayer comes forward, in the unlikely event, and we've had a few over the 6 years I've been with you, that a taxpayer comes forward and shows with sufficient evidence that they can redeem those foreclosed tax liens as well as bring a property up to date to current. We seek the resolution from the Board of Trustees to authorize that acceptance of that payment, that portion of the outstanding tax payment by the treasurer. So this is, it's an uncommon occurrence, but it is one that I've insisted upon, so we have a record of those post-redemption date tax payments that we receive. So we have received, the statute requires them to be paid in reverse order. So the oldest have to be paid first, or the most recent have to be paid first, straight through, and then the entire redemption can be done. That is to preserve the village from having to continue to file and file and file against the same property. If you could just redeem the oldest ones, then you'd always be about 3 years behind on the timeline. So this is a property that's come in and has proven with sufficient evidence I work closely with Dale in the treasurer's office on these, and sufficient evidence to prove that number 14 Fuller Road can be paid in full right up to the current taxes. So we're looking to have that portion of that payment that applies to those foreclosed tax liens accepted by our treasurer. So I wanted to put this on for resolution, and you can see the sample resolution at the bottom of your agenda this evening.
Do we have a dollar amount for the redemption?
The total redemption, I did not bring the file with me, Dale? It's a little over 17,000. And so that will bring them completely up to date for the year. So that's very good news. You only foreclose, and you can see this. These has to do with 2013 real property taxes. So you foreclose after the timing. You have to give people enough time. We're serious. We're really serious now. We're really, really serious. So with plenty of notice on the 2013. So this will bring it forward through 16.
So just since we are going to be, we are already heavily into our budget discussions, does that 17,000-ish, is that now going to be reflected in our revenues for 2016?
you.
Okay. You know what, Dale? Would you mind? Not if it's more than a yes/no question, then we want people at home to hear it.
Yeah, I would try to repeat
no,
your
no.
answers. So. Yes.
Well, you have to be on a microphone.
You have to be on a mic.
We could have let her sit down.
It adjusts.
Actually, the only other lien that's open from this year, and these are our oldest liens, is for 27 Secor, which was actually in the auction process for the town, but then they had some title issues, so it's actually been drawn back. So that's the only one that's left open.
Great.
And going into our next foreclosure, I think we have 14 properties, which is better than it has been at this point in time in prior years. So we're actually doing pretty good.
Okay. Wow, really? Okay. But 14 don't usually go through the process. They
No.
clean
No,
everything
they'll
up in
redeem-
time that it doesn't
Yes.
actually get
Yep, this is
auctioned.
before
Okay.
we've actually even done any title searches and
Yes.
sent out the
Understood.
notice and
Yeah, and
then they're 90 days.
If you're a mortgage lender and you receive a notice that something's going to foreclosure sale, you
Right.
pay it. So.
Tends to prompt
Yeah.
something.
Yeah,
that's
so
good.
we do a title search on each of these properties. Anyone having any interest in the property is notified by certified mail that this filing is happening, and it gives them the redemption
90
date.
days.
Gives them that date right in writing so they know how far to push it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Guys,
Sir Chatty's over there.
So
So
we'll put this on next week.
Yes.
Anyone else? Great.
thank you. Okay. So
By all means.
thank you. So our next discussion is we've got Bruce Lozito here. And Lynn, would you like to introduce to us what we're discussing tonight?
Sure. Apologies for being late. Thanks for understanding. So, Mr. Lozito is here, Bruce Lozito is here to ask for an extension on the special permit that the village board granted for Hudson Step. They are currently in the process of trying to pull a building permit for Smith Robinson House. So actually, we've used an outside reviewer for their plans and their material that they submitted, like late summer that we sent it out. We got back the first round of comments, and they actually just submitted today of hard copy, and we got an electronic version yesterday of their revisions that we're going to send out for final review. So they're moving towards a building permit in this regard. And they've done the demo work. I think they're done, actually, and they've done all the remediation. They've worked with the New York State Department of Labor, and so they're moving forward. But that's where it stands right now. Would you like to hear from Mr. Lozito, or do you have questions for me, or go for it?
Yeah, just
Go
so
for
I
it.
understand that the reason that we're here is because we have a deadline that we're facing.
We have a deadline that we're facing. We've used ICC, which is the International Code Council. They're the organization that actually wrote the code books to do the outside review of their plans. And with respect to their contract for ICC, they require 30 days. They actually got back their responses the first time in under 30 days, but they get 30 days. So when we send it out, even if we send it out tomorrow morning, the earliest we would get it back is December 9th, and I believe it expires like the 1st or 2nd of December. So 3rd. I was close, sorry.
Yeah.
So, so we're already out of time at that point. And so even if it came back as a clean copy with all their revisions corrected, they lost the special permit. So that's why we're here.
So that what you're saying is that there's a there's a date certain on the special permit that says they have to, certain
You have to pull the building permit
documents
by
and
then.
other permits have to be pulled by that date
Yes.
in order, okay, I want the public to
Yes.
understand
Right.
Yes, they
what's
need to have.
happening here,
Yep.
and, you know, obviously, there's been a level of effort by the developer to do things, and things take time, and so,
Yes.
I'd certainly be happy to hear from the developer at this point, so, thank you.
Thank you, Bruce Lozita, representing Ossining Land, the owners of the property. I think Lynn covered the points. We've been sort of working hand in hand, moving this thing forward. Part of it's a process by the village, and part of it's work by us. And we've both been getting things accomplished. We got the abatement that had to be completed before a building permit could be issued. We were discussing that when we first got our 6-month extension back in May. That work took several months and was completed, and we've given certifications to the village. And then we got comments from ICC, I think, late September, and it was quite an extensive review, probably more detailed than I've ever seen before. And we got our responses in today. So as Lynn was saying, they have 30 days to review those. I suspect they may come back with additional comments, and we'll have to finalize and wrap up. So we needed some extra time to be sure our permit didn't expire, special permit didn't expire before we got the building permit.
So Lynn, you had said even if it comes back without any further comments or requests, but what if it comes back and there are further comments?
That will just delay the process even longer, because then we're going to forward those comments back to the applicant and ask them to respond. They're going to go to their architect, their engineer, get their responses, and then we're going to have to send it back to ICC for them to re-review and okay that everything's been satisfactorily addressed.
Okay. Do you want to comment on that, Bruce?
That's why we asked for 6 months, just in case there's some back and forth, and whatever internal processing time is required. If we really can't control how quickly the village issues the permit, so just to give us some leeway, we thought that would be reasonable.
Okay, did you
Lynn,
wanna
what are
comment?
you recommending here? What's your opinion?
I believe that they should be able to pull a permit within 6 months if everything goes as planned. So that would be the.
Wasn't the last request for an extension 6 months, which is
And we've
what
been
we're coming
working,
up on,
yes.
and you're providing us with an update on what's happened in the last 6 months, and I'm glad that there has been progress. The date that you need a bridge for is to get past the December 3rd expiration, because you may not actually get your response until December 9th. Regardless of how much was in the last comments that you got, it sounds like there was more than you
Yeah.
anticipated, but do you feel that you were able to adequately respond to the comments that you received?
I do believe they require a very specific comment response, so you have to point out exactly how you responded to each of their items and point them to it. So we think we've covered everything, but, we just can't guarantee that they'll be satisfied with everything we give them in the first pass.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm a little concerned about, the passage of time and the expediency with which, things are happening. I realize things take time, and, you peel back the onion and you discover things, and things take a little bit longer. But, I don't believe that the village, as long as everything's in order, would be an impediment to moving forward. I think it's really your response to the analysis that you're going to receive, correct? That's the thing that I would want to see.
Not knowing what that comeback is going to be, it's hard for us to say how long we'll need to respond, so.
Okay, I mean, I'm just, I want to see this. I know you're making progress. I know you're moving forward, but I'm kind of loath to grant another 6 months. I'd like, I'd be more interested in 90 days to seeing if that would work.
Well, let me ask, if we did 30 days even, then that would get you would be able to have time to have the 30 days would have passed for you to get another response to your responses and find out if ICC has said you have adequately responded. You may now do what? Would that be enough time for you to move forward with
And
what's
it's
next?
up to the village to issue the building permit. That's really
And is there, if they get a clean bill of health from the ICC, how much time does the village need to move forward with issuing the
The village can move very quickly once they get clean bill of health from ICC. The question is, will they get a clean bill of health when they come back this time? I mean, I have actually with me the first pass response we got from ICC and the detailed nature of it, if you want to see it. But
it wouldn't mean enough to me.
but just
Manny might like to see it, but
just so you know, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but just so you know, the applicant, as a positive, when they were before the remediation needed to be done, they seemed to think that the demo and everything they could move really quickly, and then the Board of Labor comes in when there's asbestos, and you suddenly are going on their timeline, not on our timeline anymore. So I think things also kind of dragged out on another agency's timeline until you met their requirements that everything was satisfactorily completed, and that also added time to the.
which is what brought us to today.
Yeah, which is kind of what it's not like anyone's been letting it sit. Everyone's been diligently working towards it, and I think just the way the nature of the beast is, and and the size of the project, and what needs to get done, it just is moving slowly.
So it's okay. So I'm gonna be halfway in between what
Okay.
Victoria and John said. I think 60 days should be more than accurate. Enough. I've been before in not on this big project like that, but I've been in similar situations where 30 days should be more than enough for the agencies to take care of what they need to do in that regards. But if you feel that they may lack of speedings in some of the areas, I think 60 days should be more than enough time for them to come back and clear everything, and then the building department can issue the permit if everything else is okay.
Okay, that's fine. So.
Well, if it's not ready by 60 days, then we'll just have this
come back.
conversation again,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, I mean, if it's not ready, it's likely going to be.
We want to see progress. We want to see
Yeah.
progress, and I realize that there are things that are out of your control. But we want to move things along, and we want everybody else to have a sense of urgency and everything else. And I think by kind of drawing these lines in the sand, we're saying, hey, let's everybody get on board. And as I said, the village will not be an impediment here if this report is taken care of sufficiently. So.
As long as everything is up to code.
Yeah, well, they reviewed mechanical, plumbing, electrical, buildings, so they really did a comprehensive review.
So, quick question, Lynn, and
Yes.
just from my, I guess, how many comments were there?
Oh, a lot. Yeah.
What's a lot? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, we don't have any context for it. Manny is more familiar with this process.
I don't
50?
even know.
Yeah.
Oh,
they
that's
broke
not
it
a lot.
down. Yeah.
It's not a lot?
Yeah.
For a project the size that you have.
But is this just
To
Smith
have-
Robinson?
It's
This is
it's
just
just a
Okay.
Smith
Just
Robinson
that.
house. It's not
Okay.
anything else, and it
The
doesn't
landmark
include
district.
it doesn't include the review of our local fire code requirements, everything
Okay.
but that. So our in-house reviewers would have to spend like a couple of days going through our fire code to
See-
make sure everything's in compliance.
Sometimes in some of the comments, maybe like really simple stuff, but you just have to address, they coded the building code section, whatever that section may be, and it's just more like, okay, we just need to note that into the drawings. So 50 comments, maybe not that long to deal with.
Okay.
Done that before.
I think the bulk of them had to do with mechanical, though they did cover the plumbing and stuff. I mean, I can pass it around if you guys are really interested in looking at it, but yeah.
Well, Manny's the only one who would make sense of it, so maybe Manny would want to review it. But thank you for putting it in some context, that it's
Right,
not as
so where are
daunting
we?
as it sounds. I think Manny was suggesting 60 days would be more than enough cushion for you to be able to get that report back and for the village to be able to respond to it. And then if it doesn't come back clean and there needs to be more work, then you'll come back and don't wait the full 60 days. If
Right.
you know 31 days from now that you're going to need more than 60, then come back and tell us what's going on.
Well, if it doesn't come back clean, we're definitely going to need more than 60 just on the timelines, but we'll come back.
You haven't commented, you're comfortable with that?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with 60 days.
So what do we need to do to grant the 60-day extension?
We had to make a motion, I
I've
believe.
actually drafted a proposed resolution for your action next week. I left the blank for a number of days, and I will
60.
insert 60 days and put a definite deadline date in there. And then we can go from there.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for your patience.
All right. Okay. With that, I will say thank you very much to everybody for tuning in so that we can all hear this update of what's going on with our developer. We are going to be transitioning into budget meetings with staff. The budget meetings are public, but we don't televise them for a variety of reasons, not least of which is expediency for our communication with staff and among the board. And there's also many hours of them. So I thank you very much for joining us. And this meeting is, I guess the televised portion of this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.